All right, it's your boy MBK and Bailing. Today we're going to be talking about the 76ers future with my friend Real Takes, aka Dan. You can introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name's Dan. Big Sixers fan. So Bilal asked to have me on for this episode, and looking forward to it. A lot of moving pieces in the NBA this off season, so I think it should be a good one.
Yeah,
We still got a great playoffs series going on too. I mean, it's been a good last few series.
yeah, most definitely. Inside my Raptors just kind of got lucky. I'll admit, one of the series we did get lucky with that bounce shot.
Yeah, they need some help too.
Yeah, I mean, Raptors are rebuild mode, but I do like the moves that we made with Ocha and Obi and Emmanuel quickly. I think they're really showing out really well for the Raptors, so that's something I'm really excited about. Solid role players. But my first question is, how did you become a Philly fan? Is there like any Philadelphia players that you love watching when you were younger?
Um, I mean, I grew up with Allen Iverson, so he was kind of a big focal point of the city in general when I was
Yeah,
a kid. And honestly, I liked them when I was young, but I don't think I got that invested at that age. It kind of started as I was getting older, really, as I got into high school. But I used to love like Dikembe Mutombo on that old team. He was one of my favorite players. Yeah, exactly. He was awesome. That team was just fun. They never really had enough around Allen to do
yeah,
anything, and he can only do so much. So,
yeah.
excuse me. Even when they made it to the finals, he had to do everything he could to win one game against the Lakers. Like it was, they lost in five, but they were always fun. The city really loves the team, but as I said, as I got older, I kind of got more into them, and then they got into a stretch of being really,
Yeah.
really, really bad. Um, and I would still kind of watch them a lot during that period, and it was interesting to see like so many guys come and go. But ironically, I kind of became a fan of them during that period when they were awful, and I was curious about how they were going to rebuild and how they were going to kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it took so long for them to like rebuild and eventually get a good draft pick because there have been a rough stretch with bad picks for a while until Joel Embiid, I believe in 2016. I remember when he got drafted, his face was so pissed when he got drafted in the 76ers.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a. The thing is, I think there was a good plan. Like Sam Hinkie had a good plan as to how he wanted to rebuild the franchise. Obviously, they were tanking. That wasn't a question. But the issue is, you know, you draft Jaleel Okafor,
Yeah,
which just didn't work out. You drafted
Markel.
Michael. You drafted Michael Carter Williams in 2013. You drafted Markel Fultz in
Yeah,
2017, and 2016 was Simmons. Uh, in 2016, they had another first round pick. It was Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. They just missed on so many picks, and
yeah,
they were there to be had, and they could have built an amazing team, but
yeah.
you really just ended up getting Embiid. So I like all. I support to answer your question. I support all the Philly teams, but the Sixers have really, really grown on me over the years. But it's been a really, really difficult team to cheer for, honestly.
Yeah. But like the thing about love about the Philadelphia organization, everyone's so passionate about basketball. They love the game of basketball, which is something really great. And we realistically don't see that too much in a franchise that much. But I applaud Philadelphia fans for always rooting for a team no matter what.
Yeah, I mean it's a great basketball city. There's really, really good high school basketball here. Obviously, we have the Big Five. And people get really, really invested into them. So like Temple, St. Joe's, Penn, Nova, and Drexel. Yeah, I mean all those city schools. Like there is
Yeah.
a lot of hype around them, and obviously, I mean, a lot of the teams in the city aren't normally that great. LaSalle was the other one, not Drexel. Excuse me. But Villanova is consistently excellent, and even though I don't really count them as like a Philadelphia school, like the area still supports them. So, and we see a lot of great Villanova players in these
Yeah.
playoffs now. So good program.
Yeah. Like I do like speaking of Ben Simmons a little bit. When he was first drafted, I'm like, I see so much potential in Ben Simmons. Great defensive player. unfortunately, he just didn't have the confidence to shoot the ball whatsoever, and that's I think his biggest downfall is. He's a great defensive player, but he doesn't have that confidence offensively, and that's kind of was the downfall of the 76ers relationship with him.
Yeah, and similar to you, I was a big fan. I held on with Ben for longer than most of my friends, for longer than a lot of the city. I was always kind of like, because I knew what he could do, and I saw him play at his best. I've seen him shoot the ball fine, and I've seen him play aggressively. And when he was attacking the rim, drawing fouls, dunking the ball, like when he was attacking and being aggressive with his mindset, it's similar to Embiid where you can't really stop him. And Embiid gets in a similar mental he has a similar mental deficiency, I think, where he loses confidence very easily. And I think he loses confidence depending on the situation, depending on his opponent. And when he flips that switch and he loses his aggressiveness and loses his confidence, you can see it. You can see it on his face. You can see it in how he plays. He starts settling for jump shots. And I really felt like Ben was very similar, but I think Embiid has a lot more passion for basketball than Ben Simmons had. Like Joel wants to play. Ben just doesn't. Ben wants to just be a star and relax and be Ben. So weird guy, weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Joel Embiid, is it time for Philadelphia 76ers to trade him in the offseason, especially with Tyrese Maxey absolutely killing it in the playoffs against the Knicks? And Tyrese Maxey, I see the potential of him being this franchise guy for the 76ers.
The thing with Embiid is I honestly think the time to trade him was after last year. That's when you would have gotten the highest value. And now you're going to get in that situation where you're going to start getting like depreciating value starting now. And he just had another injury with the meniscus last year. Like his value is already going down. So now you're getting into the place where you say, okay, well, maybe we just hold on to him and just try to like see what we can get. I mean, obviously he still was playing at an MVP level last year until he got hurt. But when is he not going to get hurt? The man is huge. It's so hard for his body to stay healthy. And again, that's not his fault. That's not, anything he's doing. He's just 7 feet tall and almost 300 pounds. It's just, it is what it is. So I don't know, man. I think I would have traded him after last offseason and gotten 3 or 4 first-round picks. But here we are. So I don't think they will at this point. No.
No. And what are your thoughts on Tyrese Maxey as late?
I love Maxey. I mean, he's a really, really likable kid. Like, he's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He loves the city. The city loves him. He works hard. His improvements year over year have been insane. Like, the jump he made to this year was ridiculous. He's still only, I want to say he's 23. Yeah, he's 23 years old. Like, I think he has an MVP type ceiling.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of what he could be at his peak, as he keeps developing. I really like him. There are still games in the playoffs where he would kind of disappear. He would go really cold shooting. But again, he's a kid. And like you can't be relying on a kid to carry you in the playoffs every single game. Like, the playoffs are for veterans and older guys to just take over. And so he's getting good experience, and these playoffs were better than we saw last year, but I believe in him, and I just think they need another big piece to help the two of them.
Speaking of the big piece, what's the big piece the Philadelphia 76ers got to go for the offseason?
I mean, it's a good question. So what I've been reading is, they want to go after Paul George, which I think is a fucking mistake. I don't want Paul George on the team. Yeah. I've also seen they want to go after Brandon Ingram. We don't need Brandon Ingram. That's not the answer either. And then the third player that I've seen be talked about is getting Jimmy Butler back, which at this point, I just don't want him back. Like, he's years older. I think he's declined, honestly. I've never really liked his general attitude or demeanor. I don't think I think he likes being the number one guy. And I think that's why he was able to do well in the Heat, is because he knew he was the guy he could take 25, 30, 35 shots a game if he wanted to. But a lot of times he just shoots them out of games. When he's cold, he'll just keep shooting the ball. And like players like that, I just don't love. I don't think he's the answer either. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the free agent list right now. It's not great. But I think those are the three main guys they're going to target, and I don't want any of them.
Yeah. Like Jimmy Butler, I do see the attitude issue of him. I feel like he's a very cocky player, but only reason he's doing so well on he is, like you said, he is that number one guy. He could do where he wants. Paul George, I like him, but he's also pretty injury prone. He's a great defensive player, but he does get injured a lot, especially for the Clippers. Sometimes he has a really great playoff run, and sometimes he has a dud playoff run. He's unreliable in my eyes, and I feel the same way for Brandon Ingram. I think he's a little bit unreliable player when it comes to clutch time.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. Like I want someone that can have the ball in the moments that matter and be trusted to just score in isolation. Like, because that's that's not what Embiid is, and that's not his fault. It's not how he's built. Like in today's NBA, you want someone who can dribble the ball, get their own shot, and just score. You don't want him dribbling the ball at the end of the game. He turns the ball over too much. He's a big guy. Like it is what it is, but they need someone else to take that off of him and just let him rebound, let him play defense, let him clean up the boards. Like
I 100% agree with that. Plus, like I don't know why Philadelphia went for James Harden because James Harden isn't clutch. He is a turnover machine, and I don't trust James Harden. So when I saw the 76ers made that trade for James Harden way back in the day, I was really confused, and I was like, this is not going to help Embiid win a ring. This is not going to help the 76ers organization. But luckily for the 76ers, seeing Tyrese Maxey, age of 23, just improving every element of the game of basketball, I believe it's time for the 76ers to build around Tyrese Maxey and just make him the franchise guy.
Yeah, and I think what happened when Harden was here was nobody quite knew what their role was. Maxey was basically kind of asked to take a step back in a way. Like while I wanted Maxey to be developing, bringing the ball up the court, distributing the ball, being the primary ball handler, like with Harden there, the focus was on him. But then with the scoring, like we had to divide up our scoring between Harden and Embiid and Maxey, and I think no one really knew when to try to take over, when to try to dominate a game. And then Tobias Harris, he had no idea what the hell his role was, at all, because he was just a fourth option. It just wasn't a good fit. And I think so many times in the NBA, you see teams just group together players that don't fit stylistically, and they don't actually fit when it comes to being basketball players. They just are talented individuals, and there's no chemistry, and that doesn't win.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, look at the Phoenix Suns. They have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. Great players, but they have no chemistry together whatsoever. Now you see like a young team like the OKC Thunder. They clicked in the playoffs, and I know they were a second round exit, but they still were able to do so much with that young team.
Yeah, and they're going to be around for 10 years. They're going to be a contender for 10 years probably. Like getting older together. And we're seeing that with the Wolves now. The Wolves were a young team that has grown together. They've gotten a little bit better each year. That they're consistent, and then they have good other pieces too. Like Naz Reid was Sixth Man of the Year. He's really important. But it's Gobert, Towns, Edwards. Like that's the core. Yeah. So you gotta and I feel the same way about the Pacers. They're a team that has allowed a young core to grow up and be consistent and stay together and understand each other and how they play, and they've gotten better, and now we see where they are. And the Celtics are a more evolved form of that exact thing. Like they've kept those guys together. Like you can't just shuffle people in and out and win. It does not work. Like
exactly. And like seeing the way the Timberwolves are built this season, and they have goes like role players, like you said, not Street, but also Jaden McDaniels,
Yeah.
and having that experience with a player like Mike Conley in the playoffs is very important to have an older player that knows what they do in the playoffs. Because these young guys, sure, they're in the NBA, but when it comes to the playoffs, they do lose their confidence because it's hard to feel that pressure of the playoffs. So it's very important to have a veteran player like Mike Conley on the squad. And I feel like the 76ers need one more piece like that to like a lower veteran player that has experience in the playoffs to be like kind of the motivator of the 76ers.
I agree, and I think it was supposed to be Kyle Lowry. But the thing is, Kyle Lowry's old as shit and he's slow as shit. And
Yeah.
he's just not he wasn't playable in that like he was awful in that series that they lost. I mean, he's too slow. And I like him but he was supposed to be the veteran. Um I like Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre just had maybe the best year of his career.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him next year. I hope they keep him. So, like I said, he can grow with these guys and maybe be a bigger part next year. I like what they got from him, but Kyle Lowry was supposed to be the veteran leader on the team, and but they brought him in like 2 weeks before the season ended. Like there was no time to gel. It was just it didn't work.
Yeah, like you cannot fit in a player right off out of nowhere because like Kyle Lowry played for the Heat and 76ers is a different system that a player needs to adjust to. It takes time for a player to adjust to different systems. So like it's important for a player to have more time to get a feel of the chemistry, how the team plays and stuff like that, and the coaching as well, obviously.
I will to answer your question you asked earlier. If I had to pick one target, it would be Pascal Siakam.
Pascal, I like Pascal. I think that'd be a good fit.
And I think if you have Tyrese, Oubre, Pascal Siakam, and Embiid, and then you get a shooting guard who can just shoot the ball, like that's a good team. That's a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
But there's also talk. I mean, there's talk about LeBron. He has a player option. It's been him and Maxey have a relationship, and there's talk about LeBron coming here, which I don't know. It would be interesting, but I just don't know how that would work again, like in terms of the fit.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron, he's an amazing NBA player, but the age is definitely getting to him now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's a risk that Sixers should make for a playoff, like a championship push.
Yeah, and the other two guys too. There's talk about DeMar DeRozan and there's talk about Durant, but again, two just older guys. DeRozan's 34. Like, how do they fit into this team? I think Siakam is kind of the perfect answer. Plus he's also from Cameroon, which is the same country Embiid's from, and he's the same age as Embiid. I think, they could be good together. He's also the guy that broke Embiid's face on purpose. That ruined our playoff run a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember that when he threw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully they can get over that. But he's the guy I want. I think.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a fun team to watch. Embiid, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Maxey. I think that'd be good for like spacing too, to get shooters open.
Yeah, and we still do need another shooter. I mean, I'm looking at some other guys. Obi Toppin is a free agent. I like him as a bench player. He's on the Pacers too. I think he's an important part of what they do. Klay Thompson is a free agent. I don't want Klay. Apparently, he's going to get an insane contract from I forget who it is. Someone really, really wants him, and they're going to give him like a ridiculous amount of money. I think Klay is completely cooked.
Yeah, I think Klay is pretty washed up now. Like I still like Klay a lot, but unfortunately, those injuries really did ruin his career, which is really unfortunate because he was like one of the few players on the Warriors that I really enjoy watching when that dynasty was happening.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was upset that we let Patrick Beverley go this year. He was having the best year of his career. He was playing really well, and he fit well in the team. We got Campaign back, who was okay, but I just didn't understand that trade. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't get it. And I think we could have used Pat in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Beverly is a player that you want on your team, and you'll go be annoyed to play against because Patrick Beverly is a player that will get to opponents' heads, and
Yeah.
he's such a passionate defensive guard that I really enjoy watching until he's playing my spot. Now I'm like, I get annoyed by him, but like, you get
Yeah.
what I
And
mean?
he was like, he was shooting well this year, too. Like, he was shooting the ball really well. He was like playing a good, balanced game. He was passing well. Like, he was playing smart. I didn't understand letting him go, but I think when Embiid got hurt, they weren't sure how the season was going to go, and they just kind of like were in a weird middle ground of like not knowing whether to push for a championship or try to take a little step back. So
Yeah. And then I believe Tobias Harris has a huge contract.
so Tobias is a free agent now.
Oh, he's a free agent. Okay.
Yeah, so he is an unrestricted free agent. The city hates him. He's
Yeah.
probably the most hated athlete in Philadelphia. And I don't think it's close. I have always kind of defended him, but this was his worst performance because one of the reasons I defend him is he's consistently played very well in the playoffs. And I don't really like regular season NBA, man. I don't care. I don't care what you do against the Grizzlies or the Hornets or the Hawks. I don't care what you do in the regular season against nobody. I care that you show up when it matters. And he has up until this year. So again, I just don't think he knows exactly what his role is. Like, people want him to score more, but like he doesn't have the ball. He's not part of the plan. Like the offensive plan, the offense runs through Embiid and Maxey. So I'm not sure what they want. Do you want him to go take the ball from Embiid and try to score 20 points? Like, I just don't get it. But I don't know if there's talk they might bring him back, which is surprising. But the city will not be happy if they do.
Yeah. Like speaking of Joel Embiid, I think he's a fantastic regular player, like regular season player. But when it comes to the playoffs, he needs to fix his mentality and just have that winner's mentality in him to help the 76ers out. Because like I saw him during the Knicks series, he was starting to give up in some of the games. And then Tyrese Maxey stepped in. And Tyrese Maxey just hits a clutch shots among the games. And then they won.
Yeah, man. It's tough because I agree with you, and I get a lot of shit for it, like within my friend group and stuff, because I've been saying this for years. I watch him play. I watch every single game. I watch his posture defensively. I watch him fall asleep on plays and give up dunks and cuts behind him. I watch him just give up on possessions offensively and take like a long fadeaway too when his legs are clearly gone and he can't shoot the ball and it front rims every time. Like, that is so infuriating to me because, again, I know when he's aggressive and attacks the rim, no one can guard him. He could have fouled out the Knicks big men every single game. It's Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson. Like, they can't stop him. They have to foul him. And when you get them in trouble, on foul trouble, then they have to be more careful about how they defend you, and you just go off. Like, and he refuses to do that some games. The one game he did it, he scored 50.
Yeah.
Like, just attack. Like, don't settle for jump shots. I know he's a good mid-range shooter, but like, you're also 7'2". Like, just go attack the rim, man. Like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, like I like Embiid, but I like him as a regular season player. But when it comes to playoffs, I always just get pissed at what he's doing. Like he is a fantastic center, but I just need his mentality to change. And I think the 76ers need that veteran player that's not Kyle Lowry to motivate Embiid when it comes to those moments.
Yeah, and I also will say, I think a lot of times what it is when you look at the data, when you look at quarter by quarter performance, he's the best first quarter player in the NBA. He was scoring like I want to say he was averaging like 15 or something in the first quarter, something ridiculous. When he's fresh, again, he attacks, he doesn't settle, and he can't be stopped. But when you look at the second and fourth quarter, and he's very good in the third quarter too, coming out of halftime. But when you look at the second and fourth quarter, the fourth quarters against the Knicks, he was almost invisible. And I think he's just tired, man. And I understand playing defense, in basketball in general, but specifically in the NBA, is exhausting, especially
Yeah.
when you're guarding You're guarding Mitchell Robinson is one of the strongest guys in the NBA. I understand it's difficult. I think when he's just asked to do so much offensively and defensively, and he does give a lot of effort defensively, but he wears down. And then his legs are gone in the fourth quarter, and there's no elevation. He's not able to jump for rebounds. He's just beat. And I don't know if he can condition to a point where he can get past that because he's just so big. Like, I don't know if that's him not working hard enough in the offseason. I also think when you tear your meniscus and you're off your leg for 2 months, you're just out of shape. And how much can we ask of him when he's coming back in terms of conditioning? So it's so tough with him. It's almost like there's no right answer, but he is one of the best players in the NBA, and you don't get those guys often. So it's a difficult conversation, I think.
Yeah. So we talked about Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and what are some smaller role players should the 76ers go for? Like the smaller players that are still role players, play good defense, shoot the ball a little bit. I feel like 76ers need some goals types of players in there.
Yeah, I agree. And when you look at what they have, I mean, Buddy Hield was supposed to be that, and he was just awful. He was terrible. And that really hurt them. I mean, Cam Payne, I guess they'll bring him back next year. DeAnthony Melton is our backup shooting guard. He's just not really playable in the playoffs. He can't defend, and he doesn't shoot that well. I will say I liked Nick Batum last year. He gave us a lot, and he really won us the play-in game against Miami by himself. I don't know if you remember that. He hit 5.
Oh yeah.
He went insane, and he solo won in that game. So he plays good defense. He works hard. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. I'm kind of looking around at other role players. There's not too much. Spencer Dinwiddie's a free agent. Chris Dunn. Markelle Fultz. They could bring him back and have him be a backup. I wouldn't hate that.
Honestly, I like Chris Dunn a lot.
Yeah.
I think the 76ers could get him. I think he's a really solid defender.
Yeah, I like the way he plays. I just think they need shooting, and I'm not exactly sure where that's going to come from. I'm still looking at the free agents. There isn't a lot. It's a lot of older guys. Malik Monk.
Oh, Malik Monk be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a player I like a lot. I like the Kings. I don't know why they can't. I mean, they don't play any defense. I think that's why they don't win. But Malik Monk is a guy that could be a potential target. Kelly Oubre is a free agent, so they need to re-sign him. Outside of that, I'm not seeing a lot role player wise, but you do need, like I said, another shooter. Obi Toppin is someone I mentioned earlier, but I think he could be solid. I like his game a lot.
Yeah, with Obi Toppin, you get the energy that he brings. It brings a lot of great energy that really helps any team that he's part of. I feel like him being on the Pacers really helped his career because the Knicks weren't really using him that much. And on the Pacers, I guess.
Mistake, man. The Knicks, I would watch the Knicks play, and they would bring him in. He'd play 10 minutes and score 17 points. And then they would just take him out. I was just why don't you use this man more? I don't understand.
I love Obi. I feel like he was wasting the Knicks. I'm happy that he's able to really showcase his talent on the Pacers, and he's really doing really well this season. And he's actually playing really well in the playoffs, which is another really important factor of an NBA player. If they show up in the playoffs, that's fantastic to see. If they don't, then it's just kind of embarrassing,
Yeah. And I mean, he's only 26 years old. The Knicks or the Pacers gave him 21 minutes a game this year, which is up from 15 minutes last year with the Knicks. His scoring went up. He shot 40% from three. He shot 57% from the field. Like, what more can you ask for from someone off your bench? I really like him as a player, and he's someone I would love. Also, I want to ask you, what do you see happening in this Celtics Pacers series?
Celtics and Pacers series. I personally think the Celtics are probably gonna win in six. I feel like the Pacers might knock down 2 games. I think they're gonna be a surprising opponent. I feel like we should not underestimate the Pacers in this series, especially with Tariq Halliburton, Obi Toppin playing extremely well for that team in the playoffs and really showing out. But Celtics got Drew Holiday, who I love. Drew Holiday, like he is a player that is a great defensive guard that can shoot, and he was the sole reason why the Bucks won during the Sun series when the Bucks won their first ring. And he is that type of guy that you need in the playoffs. And I feel like he's going to be the X factor for the Celtics to beat the Pacers in six.
Yeah, Sixers draft pick, Drew Holiday. That
Yeah.
was 2009. I miss him. I really like him as a player. I'm going to go on record and say the Pacers win the series.
Oh, okay.
I'm a really, really big Jason Tatum. I think is one of the most overrated players in the game.
Oh, well, I 100% agree with that. He's not clutch in the playoffs,
and I think, and I know you like Jalen Brunson, but I said this about Jalen Brunson, and we saw it in Game 7. He will shoot them out of a game. He'll just keep shooting the ball, and when he's not hot, you got to stop shooting the ball. You got to distribute, play defense, understand it's not there. And I put Brunson, he's a volume shooter, and I look at Tatum in the same way. And, like, those guys can beat you. Some games they'll go crazy, but, like, I prefer consistent players generally. And I don't know, man. I just think this Pacers team is really, really good and really balanced, and the Celtics bench sucks. It's not good.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, like, I mean, I don't know. Those guys don't scare me. If anyone on the Celtics gets hurt, anyone else, if anyone gets in foul trouble, like, I'm just not sure. Also, I think Miles Turner could have a huge series.
Oh, yeah, like, Miles Turner. Yeah.
Who's guarding him? Like,
I like a big that can shoot a 3-ball efficiently and play great defense, rim protection. Like, who doesn't love Miles Turner? I think he's one of the most underrated players in this league, and nobody gives him any credit for it.
Yeah, man, he's very good. And I mean, with the Nuggets gone, like, any of these teams can win the championship. Any of the 4 teams left. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like, speaking of these teams, the Mavericks and Timberwolves series could be really interesting, but I don't think the Mavericks got it to beat the Timberwolves. I mean,
No.
Timberwolves bigs are going to, like, destroy them in the paint. Naz Reid is playing fantastic. Jay McDaniels, excellent defensive forward. And then you got the scoring with Andy Edwards, which has been insane. Plus, Andy Edwards is a really great leader, even though he's super young as an NBA player. So I see this Timberwolves team making, like, win the finals this year, but it's just something I wouldn't say at beginning of the season, but I'm saying it right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think about it. If I had to bet on one of the 4 teams to win right now, it might be the Timberwolves. The Mavericks, I'm not a Kyrie believer. I feel the same exact way about Kyrie as I just talked about with the other 2 guys. He will shoot you out of a game. And Luka can do the same thing. Luka obviously is great, but Luka is hot and cold. Like, they both will have – Kyrie will be, like, 3 for 20 and, like, 1 for 9 from 3 and just keep shooting the ball. And, like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think the Wolves are a much more balanced team. But they should be 2 good series, but I could see the Wolves winning that series in, like, 5 games, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really short series for the Mavericks, even though I do want to see Kyrie Irving get our ring without LeBron, which would be cool to see, but I really doubt that's going to happen this year. But who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? Anything can happen. These playoffs been really fun to watch. They've been unpredictable, which is exciting. Like having the playoffs be unpredictable as NBA fan is just so much fun to watch. And I finally gained that unpredictability that was missing this league, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and really quick, I looked up the odds, like the betting odds. So the Celtics are minus 150 to win the championship, so heavy favorite. The Timberwolves are plus 270, the Mavericks are plus 500, and the Pacers are plus 2800. So Pacers are a big underdog here, but I believe in them, man, and I just don't believe in the Celtics. I'm sorry, but I could be wrong. They could again. The Celtics could win in 5, but I I think the Pacers beat them in the series.
Yeah. But I just see a Western Conference team win this year. The way
Do?
how yeah, I do. Like
Yeah.
I strongly believe the Mavericks and Timberwolves, whoever wins the series is going to win the finals.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, like I said at the beginning, it's been a good playoffs. They've been
Yeah.
enjoyable. Even the Sixers Knicks series, that was awesome. Like it was a
Yeah.
good series. It was painful, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean that one game that went to OT with Tyrese Maxey going absolutely nuts. He was
yeah,
making mistakes during that game too. He was missing some clutch free throws, but he still is like, oh no, I need to win this game. He has that
because he's
mentality for
confident.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
confident.
I mean,
Yeah. And that confidence is in Embiid, unfortunately, in the playoffs, which sucks, to be honest.
yeah, and I feel like that's something you can't. He's 30 years old. Like he's not. It's not going to change in my. I don't think. Like I don't see him growing out of that. Um, something I've thought about a lot is, I mean, Joel picked up a basketball when he was 15, right? So he was playing soccer his whole life in Cameroon. Luke Baamute, who was on the Sixers, found him basically over there, just ran into him and was like, "You should play basketball." And then he started playing basketball when he was like 15 or 16 years old. Sometimes I think if he had grown up either here or just grown up somewhere where he was in a basketball program from the time he was young and like playing in huge games, like whether it be AAU or even high school, college, like playing, and I mean, he played in college, but like having big moments throughout his entire life and having that pressure and being able to like get in that mindset and get that like killer mindset, I think he might have developed into a different player, but he never got that. And he kind of just jumped into basketball like almost in college. And it was just like he never got that right mind frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sometimes I wonder what he would be like if he had played basketball from the time he was 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah. All right. My last question for you is who you see win the finals this year, man? I know that's a tough question.
It's tough. I mean, we've been thinking about it a lot. I'm gonna say just to be annoying, I think the Pacers have a chance. Maybe I should bet on it at plus 2,800. That's not bad. I see a way through the Celtics, and then I do like Anthony Edwards. What did he shoot in that last game? Not very well. He was
Not
like
well.
six for 20 something.
Yeah, but
They're winning by not giving up points. They're winning by playing defense at the end of the day. Like they can score. I just feel like the Pacers have the depth, and again, they could get blown out by the Celtics in 4 games, 5 games. But I think they have a chance, and I'm going to go ahead and say I believe in them. I don't believe in the Mavericks at all. If I had to rank the 4 teams, I might say like Pacers, Wolves, Celtics, Mavericks.
yeah, okay. For me, I got the Timberwolves. I mean, even when Andy Edwards has a bad shooting night, he does a good job of like playmaking
Yeah,
and just getting his team involved, which is like the key thing of a guard. It's like if you're having a shitty shooting night and you keep shooting and keep missing, it's not gonna help the team. You have to be like, oh, okay, pass the ball, play make, get your other teams involved, and play great defense. And that's what Andy Edwards does. That's like the literal definition of being a good guard for a team.
yeah, and I mean, I think the thing in my head is he's 22. Like
Yeah.
as the stakes keep rising and the games get bigger, he might have a bad series, whether it be this series or the finals, and that would be okay, obviously. But he's so good, man, and he's gotten better every single year.
He's funny on the mic.
Yeah, I think the NBA would like him to be kind of their face moving forward.
Yeah,
And I think he has the personality to do that. And he came in the league when he was like 19. That was his first year, which is, it's crazy. But I'm curious to see how good he gets and how he improves because he's improved every year.
All right, man. Thanks so much for this talk on the 76ers, a little bit of playoffs. I'll put the socials of Dan in the description. And thanks for having me. Thanks for getting invited to this little talk about the 76ers, man. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. This was fun.
All right, man. Peace, bro.
See you below.